Hey there, aspiring guitarist. I understand sometimes you get frustrated, and I try to put things out there. I did the little video about playing a song and, just playing the chord on the very first beat of a measure and things to help get you through. And I realize it gets frustrating, especially if you're having to do things. And I don't mean this in a bad way, piecemeal. Instead of going through a structured uh, lesson where you're getting immediate feedback, even with online, there's great online stuff, and I try to highlight that. Um, but when you're watching a lesson, you may have all kind of questions pop up in your head unless you're even if you go into some of these instructors. I'm going to take one. I'm not knocking the platform. Patreon or something. If you're in a Patreon forum with a bunch of other members and you're trying to get your question asked, or you're in a YouTube live and your question is taking a back seat because of super questions, super chats, and which I told you I'm not big about that. Yeah, it's like paying to get your question answered. I mean, that can get frustrating. So, one of the things I want you to think about, eh, all these little things, I'm going to try to organize things uh, better in playlists and things. Just, I have some things like what to do with a C chord, about basic chord progressions. But here comes the gist of this entire video. Don't knock the importance of chords. Chords. Open chords, bar chords, power chords, all kind of chords. Diminished chords, seventh chords. Yeah, I always try to throw out there that there's more to learn, that chords come from scales. They're notes that are in a scale. A chord is 3 notes. Well, then how come a C chord is 5 notes? Because a lot of the notes in the scales are repeated. Blah, 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 blah. Don't knock the power of learning chords in your guitar journey. Because there's more to it than just learning to make that C chord right there. There's other ways to make a C chord. There's the circle of fifths we talk about, knowing what chord to jump off to. There's things you can do with chords. There's ways to end a song that end in a chord. Here's a C. There's little things you can do. Did you see my hesitancy there? I've been playing for 52 years. That's what practice is about. If you're looking for me to show you how to do something that's always going to be perfect, you need to just go on leave right now. When I perform, when I play in a group, when I record, it's from practice. And that practice has a lot of mistakes. And I slow down. Don't knock the importance of learning chords, because you're not just going to learn a chord. You've heard me talk about there's more than one way to make an E minor. You can make it with second and third, or you can make it with 1 and 2. But I've told you it has to do with where you're going. If you're going to an open G, then maybe 1 and 2, because then you can easily get to that G. But, there's different ways to make a C. You can stretch a D chord. You can get so much out of a D chord just lifting fingers, putting them down, learning to do hammer on, the hammer off. Once you start learning the power of chords, once you start learning, okay, I can make a C chord. Can I use a little bit of that scale to learn to do a nice little arpeggio or a bass run? my circle of fifths to learn which chord progressions to practice. You will get to a point where you will take a chord like a C and you will learn this chord backwards and forwards, and it will be fun. It really will. Now, I know when you're just learning a basic C chord, in fact, a lot of people think a C chord is one of the worst sounding chords in the world. A lot of people end their songs with a G because of the way it rings out. That's the reason I end a C a lot of times with that little bass run. And I'm going to show you how to do some of those things to help. Don't knock the importance of chords. You've heard me say, do you know chords? Do you know the A chord? Do you know the different ways to play the A chord? Do you know an A minor? Do you know a seventh? Do you know a sus? Do you know a diminished? Do you know do you know the B chord? Do you even know? Most people don't even know the B chord. They don't even know what it is. They don't realize there's more than one way to play a C, and that from playing it, you can jump off to so many other things. They don't realize that Dust in the Wind is nothing but a C, and using the pinky to come on and off and doing a bass run or two. Simple chords. Angie. And I'm probably going to get in trouble right there, although all I did was mention and play one chord. I guess I'll figure out how to include the songs I just said. But the point I'm trying to make is improvisation, making your own kind of music comes from chords. Even, I'm not knocking scales. I still think the C scale is the most important scale for a beginner to learn. But some people will never learn a scale. They don't know part of a scale. They don't want to do and realize they can do it other ways too. D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Scales are important, but don't knock the chord. Don't knock the chord. When you start learning bar chords, when you learn that this is an F, but if you slide it down a step, that's a G, and then an A, and then a B, and then a C. And the B to the C is just a half step. Chords are music. And you can learn to do so many things with a chord. Don't knock chord practice. Remember what I told you. Learn every chord in the musical alphabet. What's the musical alphabet? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, repeat. Then learn the minor chords. Then learn the seventh chords. And then you can get into some other things. Learn how to anchor chords. Learn when it's appropriate to use 1 and 2 for an E minor, and when it's appropriate to use 2 and 3. 1 and 2 will get you to a G. 2 and 3 will get you to just dropping that first finger, see me doing it, and getting an E. Don't knock the power of chords. The more you learn chords, the more you learn the technique of the chord, the more you slow down. You can't go, if you want to become fast, you've got to learn to become slow. Don't knock chords. Chords, we all went through it. Those of us that didn't have the internet, that had to learn from one another, that went and took some basic guitar lessons. Back when I was growing up, it was Archer Guitar School and things like that. And many of us, our parents couldn't afford guitar lessons. We had to get a Mel Bay book. Now Hal Leonard seems to dominate the book. Don't knock that either, but don't get excited about chords. Get excited about if you don't do anything with a D, but just raise up the second finger. raise up the other fingers. Drop the pinky down right here. Where's the pinky gonna go? Right there. Come on, I know how easy it is to get frustrated, but sometimes we go everywhere. Okay, well, I'm frustrated. Now you know, Hogan said learn some skills. I'm gonna learn some skills. So I learned some skills. Well, what am I gonna do with the skills? This isn't doing me any good. Practice, but make your practice music. Make your own kind of music. You know, get the D right. Make sure it rings out. Hit it one note at a time. Hit it. Come back up the strings. Go to a C. Practice. That's practice. Decide how many chords you're going to do for a 15-minute practice session. Get the circle of fifths. Go buy that Chord Wheel Book I told you about. It's like $12 from Amazon. You know, and figure out that, you know, with a C is going to come an F and a G, and with a G an A and a D and things like that, and practice those changes. Don't knock chords. Hey, Jimmy, what are you doing with your guitar practice? Well, I'm practicing my chords. Is that all? Man, that's enough. Practicing chords plays songs. Once you learn chords, then you can learn some basic rhythm. Remember what I told you about, you know, strum, 2, 3, 4, change chord, 2, 3, 4. Don't knock chords, but play with chords. Lift fingers up, take them off. Take this, only hit 3 strings. Move the D around, slide it down, but think about a whole scale. E, F, G, A, B, C's on the 8th fret, because that's that half step. So move chords around in relation with that, with a major scale. And yeah, there's a lot more than just the major scale. Chords are the foundation of guitar. Now, I can go the other way. I can say, no, scales make chords. We learn to play chords. Don't knock chords. It is important what you're doing. You'll learn some of the other little things by hanging around guitar people, watching more YouTube videos. Don't knock chords. I'm going to try to do some things in the future, like this week's chord progressions. And you know, we'll break down that little C run, you know, where when we're going to end the C, the song, and we'll write it out in tab. We'll break it down one note at a time to where you can see what it is. I'll get my guitar with the notes. I'll get my fret lights. Don't knock chords. Practicing chords is important. Now, it can get old, you know, until you get it. If the chord's not sounding right, remember, I've got a thing about do different things. Raise your hand, hit one at a time. Start out with only one note, then drop the other. Find out where the problem is. Don't knock chords. Chord practice is it's the basic of learning to play the guitar. I know how frustrating it can be, you know, especially if you don't have the feedback of a one-on-one. And I can't give you one-on-one. I can answer some questions, you know, in the comments from time to time. But if I started getting flooded with comments, I couldn't handle them all. So don't knock chords. It is a firm foundation. You may meet an instructor down the road. Well, he's going to start off, well, do you know your chords? Well, what chords? Well, the open chords. You know, well, what are open chords? You know, and we've talked about that. Do you know bar chords? Do you know power chords? What do you know? If you know chords, If you know the musical alphabet chords and the minor chords and the seventh chords, and I would do them in that order. I would say do your major, your minor, your sevenths. Then we'll talk about some other things, a sus, a diminished, other things like that. And they have some theory behind it that's great extra knowledge that will enhance. But circle of fifths, learning what chords play together. You can Google that. Okay, I beat this to death. Don't knock how important chord practice is. And improvisation. Don't be scared to screw up. Okay, Hogan says to, try lifting. Well, I'm screwing up. So what? Slow down. Take one finger at a time. Okay, I'm going to lift my second finger. I got a little bit of a buzz. Ooh, that sounded nice. What did I do? Okay, I lifted up and then I threw it down. Hammer on, pull off. Hammer on, pull off. Pretty soon, you'll be doing that without me showing you how to do it. You'll get hooked. You'll start going, ooh, I can do things with these chords. And then you'll start trying things. And you won't be scared to screw up anymore. Yeah, it's from mistakes that we get the best out of our music playing. So, okay, I've said it 100 times. Don't knock the importance of chords. It's an important part of your guitar journey. If you got to go get a chord book, get a chord book. Go buy a chord chart. Do whatever it takes. Learn some chords. I'll try to do a better job at working weekly. All right, this week we're going to work on this chord progression, and we'll try to add some stuff to that. So, hey, take your chords seriously. I hope you have a blessed guitar journey. Most of all, hey, happy picking.